You are listening to WebFit News Live Radio. News that fits your fast life.
Today we're diving into something I think a lot of us wonder about. What happens when you hit your 30s and realize the life you've built just isn't the life you actually want? Well, this is a story about that. It's about redefining success 1 mile at a time, and it all kicks off with a really simple but totally life-changing question.
Right? It's a question we all kind of toss around. We daydream about some dramatic change, a new city, maybe a whole new career. But let's be honest, how often do we actually follow through? For this couple, the answer wasn't found in a new office building, but in a new home, on wheels. Their van, which they lovingly named Wanderbee, literally became the vehicle for their entire life transformation.
And this is where it all started. For Ami, she saw this lifestyle, this concept of full-time travel, that was pretty common in Western countries, but it felt so far away from her own Indian roots. And that little spark, that one idea, was really all it took to get the wheels turning.
So to really understand where they were going, we've got to take a quick look back at what they were leaving behind.
On paper, Ami and Sagar had totally made it. They'd been in New Zealand for over a decade, had successful corporate careers, 6-figure salaries, the whole deal. But they just couldn't shake this feeling. That little voice in the back of your head that says, "Is this it? There has to be something more."
Okay, now this is where their story really flips the script on that romantic idea of just, dropping everything and hitting the road. This was no reckless escape. This was an incredibly disciplined dream.
This number right here is the key to everything. $160. That was their daily spending limit, calculated down to the dollar. See, this wasn't some spontaneous whim. It was a hardcore financial plan that grounded their massive adventure in reality. And honestly, made the whole thing feel possible.
Planned, disciplined, budgeted. These 3 words were basically their mantra. They saved up for years, they planned every detail, and they proved that sometimes the biggest, wildest adventures require the most detailed maps.
And then there was the other hurdle, the cultural one. The whole idea of an adult gap year just isn't really a thing in Indian culture. So you can imagine their family had some questions. But they handled it by patiently talking them through it, sharing their vision, and even showing them examples of other people who made this exact lifestyle work.
All right, so the planning's done, the family is on board. It was finally time to make the jump. This is that moment where the dream stops being a dream and becomes reality.
And the plan just unfolded step by step. In March 2024, they quit their jobs. For over a year, they traveled through Asia and Europe. Then they came back to New Zealand with a whole new mission, to really explore their adopted home. By September 2025, they were officially living life on the road.
And this is where Wanderbee officially enters the story. It was so much more than just a van. It was their home. It was their mobile office. It was basically the third main character in their New Zealand adventure.
We have all seen those perfect van life photos on Instagram, right? The stunning sunsets, coffee brewing with a perfect mountain view. But what's the actual day-to-day reality?
The reality? It was hard, really hard. Ami is super clear about that. The transition was tough. It's not just about driving to beautiful places. It's a never-ending puzzle of logistics. Where do you get water? How do you manage power? Where's the Wi-Fi? All while living in a tiny space.
So to make it all work, they have to be super structured with their time. They have specific days just for travel and exploring. Then they have content days for filming and creating all their social media posts. And then there are work days, where they find a campsite, bust out the laptops, and just grind on client projects.
Now here's where the story takes a really cool, unexpected turn. Ami and Sagar never, ever set out to become influencers or content creators. But as they shared their journey, it just started to resonate with people, and something pretty amazing started to happen. Their growth was just explosive. They went from about 2,000 followers to over 30,000 in an incredibly short amount of time. It turned out people weren't just into the pretty scenery, they were really invested in their story. The story of starting over.
And all that audience growth, it translated into real business success. They've landed partnerships with huge names like the New Zealand Tourism Board and Kiwi-Rail. And what's really cool is they make it a point to use their platform to shout out the small local businesses they find along the way.
So how do 2 people manage all of this? Well, they're a perfect team. Ami is the mastermind behind the logistics, the business deals, and all the communication.
Meanwhile, Sagar is the creative force. He handles all the editing, the design, the reels, the whole creative direction. They are literally running a business from the front seats of their van.
So, after all this time on the road, what have they learned? Well, they've kind of boiled it all down to 3 essential non-negotiable rules for anyone who's dreaming of doing this themselves.
Okay, rule number 1, stay flexible. Plans are going to change, roads will close, the weather will turn on you. The best moments often happen when you go off script. Number 2, respect the rules. Freedom camping in New Zealand is a huge privilege, not a right, and they really emphasize leaving every place better than you found it. And third, use the right apps. Technology is your best friend for finding campsites, fuel, dump stations, all the essential stuff that makes this life possible.
And this journey is nowhere near finished. True to their super disciplined style, they have crystal clear, measurable goals for what's next. They want to save another $20,000 and grow their community to 50,000 followers. And that's what's going to fund and shape the entire next chapter of their adventure.
Which really brings us right to the heart of their entire story, and it's captured perfectly in this final thought. It's such a powerful reminder that it's never too late to trade in a predictable script for a life that you write yourself. So it makes you wonder, right? What would your different kind of life look like?